All right, Jeff again here at 27190 Southwest Yarrow Lane, or Wilsonville. Third time's a charm here. I just re-recorded that second segment. The video files did not save correctly, so I'm gonna go back through the spot again here. Yeah, this was we're just measuring out to see the exact distance from the home the standing water was, as well as the pipe glue. Anyway, the pipe glue here, I've looked at it enough times now. Honestly, what concerns me, it would be nice, I mean, there's a very low likelihood it'll ever cause anything without the homeowner basically making it happen. What concerns me is that way that came through that joint, normally you get like a drip. It looks like a water droplet that's solidifies in place. This came through in kind of a fan shape, and that glue goes up inside the joint there, so it's well adhered. Not just on the inside of the pipe, but that goes up through the joint. My concern is if you go run an auger through there to trim that out, if you're not able to completely remove it, what you could end up doing is busting part of it loose and then bending it down into the flow line where it could actually cause a problem. So it's so small, it's just not worth messing with. Anyway, then back out to the belly here. The belly dissipates off at 18 feet, starts at 14 feet, and I did go locate that already. The line shoots right from this clean out. It makes a little bit of a turn and runs right to the driveway adjacent to the stairs that lead up to the front door. That belly is under the driveway, so that thing is teeny tiny. It's holding between a 1/16 and a 1/4 inch of standing water. I apologize if I'm repeating myself now that I made a third one of these. I can't remember which video I put it on now, but anyway, for reference, I don't consider repairs on the average used lived-in home until there's at least an inch of standing water for 5 feet. And this is something I've developed over the course of 13 years of doing this. Anyway, I've seen so many bellies I can't even tell you. This thing, I can hardly even call it a belly. And if it weren't brand new construction, I wouldn't even be talking about it. It's so small. So what I am going to recommend is you re-scope it at the about 9-10 months into a 1-year warranty to check for progression. And it's especially worth doing. Rarely do you see progression. Only about 5% of new construction lines that I look at for a warranty scope actually change. Very rarely does that happen. But if it does happen, it's on someone else's dime. And this one's especially worth doing because it is under the driveway. If we're under the yard, I would not have the same concern about it because of the low likelihood that things will change. But this one would require concrete cutting and a much higher cost. But as tiny as that thing is there's no reason to go creating a goofy patch in your driveway over something that has essentially no effect on flow at all. It would be purely abusive items that would ever hang up in that, and by and large, mostly what you would see consistently hanging up in something that small is cooking oil and grease buildup. That'll build up anywhere in your sewer line, but it likes to do so more when it hits standing water. It cools down more rapidly, floats to the top of the water, and then starts to collect on the sidewalls. So again, that's something that shouldn't go down your line anyway. In fact, the one thing I am most concerned about at this point in my career, more than structural issues, a lot of structural issues, unless they're really severe, you know, like a lot of bellies, offsets, things like that. Most of them rarely cause a problem, but the years I did drain cleaning and repairs, most bellies I would see blockages occurring, especially in plastic pipe, is a combination of thick grease buildup, some kind of structural issue like a belly. So you've got a belly, bunch of grease buildup, slowing things down, and then someone finishes the job by flushing a giant wad of, football-sized wad of paper towels down the line, or tons of balled-up toilet paper. A combination of things is usually what causes a blockage. So, best advice I can give you to keep your line clean: don't put cooking oil and grease down your pipe. Wipe your pans out with a paper towel once the pans cool down, or pour the grease into a jar. Scrape it off into your garbage can when it cools down. Just don't put it down your line. A thin little coating of PAM spray on your pan is no big deal. Hot water and soap handles the job. The key, when you know that some amount of oil and grease is getting down the line, every house is going to have some, is always use hot water, always use soap, and let your hot water run for about a full minute after your last dish was washed. Helps to ensure that everything remains melted and emulsified until it gets all the way to the main, or at least a good distance out from the house. The other thing I'm going to recommend here, none of these cleanouts have flanges and caps on them. They've got these valve cover box things over the or lids over the top of them, which are fine. They're not my favorite way of sealing a sewer line because a kid can very easily remove these things and drop rocks into the pipe. I would much prefer to see some kind of flange or at least an expanding wing nut cap, you know, something that the average kid's not going to be strong enough to undo unless they're a big kid. So anyway, I would suggest putting clean out caps on them or plugs. Anyway, we have good flow all the way to the main lateral. I cambered about 4 feet back inside the foundation wall. That looks good too. Everything past that point in the crawl space is exposed piping that you can see with your eyeballs. Home inspector looks at that stuff. Good flow all the way to the main lateral. Belly's way too minor to need repairs even for new construction. Just take a second look around 9-10 months into the warranty to check for any changes. And again, the glue, that's at this point, it's not something I'm going to recommend you mess with. I don't think it's worth doing. Everything else looks great. Line is functioning properly at this time.